You are listening to the e-flux podcast.
The following episode was recorded at e-flux before the performance Topography of Sound, 2007 until now, by Maria Chávez, on January 19th, 2023. Maria Chávez is an abstract turntablist, conceptual sound artist, and DJ based in New York and born in Lima, Peru. Coincidence, chance, and failures are themes that are at the heart of her practice, which expands from the world of sound to sculpture and other disciplines. The conversation is followed by an excerpt from the performance, Maria's first public live show since a medically induced sabbatical.
Maria, we're so excited to have you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight at e-flux.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored that my first show back is here with you guys, and having you as the curator. I feel like I feel very well cared for, very loved and well cared for, which is a very nice way to return to the scene.
It's our honor. So you've been out since 2018, is that right?
Yeah, well, my Goodbye Global tour started in the end of October of 2018 and went on until February of 2019. And then I flew to Japan and got my brain surgery the last day of February of 2019. And then I was under until this past year. I was declared cured in 2021. It's a 2-year wait to be declared cured once the surgery is completed. So that was a really long 2 years, just walking on eggshells, trying not to mess anything up. And then once I got declared cured, I got so drunk that night. I really partied that night. I was so happy. But yeah, I decided I wanted one more year to be cured as a regular human, not as an artist. And so that was really a really special year this past year for me to just not have to participate in this capitalist artistic structure, just do what I want and exist without the disorder. So now I've just gained so much more lucidity, clarity of where I am, just not just like in my life, but also in my career. Because I think for a long time, people were in denial about the impact that my work actually had on people, on others. And as I had this time away, at first I was just like, everyone's going to forget about me. All this work is going to go down the drain. Like, you know, because it happens to so many people, especially individuals that identify as female, because a lot of these individuals will have children that will keep them from being able to come back, or have some type of chronic illness that will, keep them, or physical disability. And I just feel really lucky that even though I was confronted with that same issue or similar issue, that I was able to reflect and also receive input about exactly how impactful my career has actually been to other people. And I think had I not had this time, I don't think I would have ever been able to really grasp it. But since I had the time to just be by myself and not like be in this world, it's really opened my eyes to a lot.
Because your practice is about like sharing space
Right.
with people, and since your condition prevented you from being in loud spaces, so you couldn't like attend concerts and all of that, right?
Yeah, I was pretty much quarantined before you guys were. I was avoiding large spaces, but because my hearing on the left side of my ear, where the surgery took place, behind my ear, my auditory nerve actually gained hearing ability percentage. And so for about the first year to year and a half, I could not be in a restaurant for the life of me. It was just way too loud. Or if I did, I'd always have like earplugs, and the next day I would have some like annoying nervy pain down my neck for like days. And it's like, oh, what did I do? It was just a very fragile time. I couldn't really listen to techno until like the second year.
Wow.
I can finally listen to metal. So I'm listening to a lot of liturgy and like metal stuff right now, because I'm just like, I missed I miss listening to like really hard things. I'm hoping to go to a metal show soon. I've been waiting. I feel like I need to wear a helmet or something. So I'm afraid they're gonna mosh and hit my head. Or maybe I need a sign like "Don't hit me." But I really miss the loud spaces. But they are very able-bodied spaces, and so I had to like I pretty much had to like quarantine myself, wear a mask, avoid these spaces for about. Well, the first year, like from February 2019 to the next February, and then you guys were quarantined. So, in a way, it was just really bizarre. And I say it in all my interviews. And like, when did everyone get brain surgery? Like, now everyone's doing what I'm doing. Like, quit copying me. No,
since you were in quarantine, were you doing medical sabbatical before? Were you like working on writing, or how has your practice changed since you left those spaces?
Well, I had time to write more. And so I was able to release quite a few articles for Cambridge University Press and for e-flux with Guggenheim as part of More Mothers edition last year. My practice conceptually, philosophically has really evolved. I've been able to finally put words to thoughts, terms, to conceptual ideas that I'm now starting to present more openly in the public and in academia. And actually tonight, I'm hoping to perform a short version of this new form of live turntablism performance that I'm calling hypermemory installations. I came up with the term like a year before my surgery, but I just didn't really have time to like delve into it because I was just trying to play as much as I could before I had to go under and like lock in as many cities as I could and play for as many people as I could. But then once I was able to like gather my thoughts and I had safety and clarity and lucidity, I was finally able to be like, oh right, my hypermemory installations, let's start thinking about this and writing about this. And so it's a form of I'm calling it a form of creative sound installation presentation through the usage of field recordings. So I feel like the field recording genre within sound art is really lacking in clarity of creative presentations that utilize field recordings. And since it's such a young practice, because really the general public couldn't participate in field recording practice until the late 80s with like handheld recorders and things like that. And now we have our phones, we can record whatever we want. So now it's like really as democratic as availability of recording. It's like the first time in history, pretty much, that anyone can record anything if you have access, of course.
Yeah,
there's still a demographic that don't have access to the smartphones, so I don't want to be too generalizing. But so with hypermemory installations, hyper is the idea of the density of many field recordings being played at one time. So hyper is referring to density. So in this particular case, we have 4 turntables, 8 needles. I'm hoping to play field recording records on the turntables where the each needle will read a different part of the record at the same time, emitting different sounds of field recordings, but they're all being played. Sometimes they can be played all at once, so 8 signals at once, and that's a dense amount of sound files playing in a space. Memory is reflecting on the field recording, which is the sonic memory of time, and then installation being the platform, the presentation of how the work is being shown. So if you decide to get into sound installation art and you present a sound installation of four speakers emitting field recordings in a space, you could call your installation a hypermemory installation if you wanted to. So this was a term that I'm proposing to academia and saying, can we now start to include this term and further develop an understanding of creative field recording, installation, presentation practice. And that's just one of many things. Also, my interest in neuroplasticity and how these multi-channel sound installation environments can function as a space to encourage neuroplasticity for the public. I feel like whenever I teach now and I speak to young artists that are really frustrated by the capitalism of the art industry and having to be on social media and always have new stories and always have new albums. Like there's so much, you have to be so much more active now than you did when I first started. And it's due to the internet and its expansion. But a lot of them just get very down and feel very useless in a way. Like, why would anyone care about my art or whatever? And I found that by talking about art practice within the realm outside of industry, but within the realm of how it affects society, we are all neuron connectors. That's really what our job is, regardless of what we're creating for people, regardless of the content. What we're doing is presenting a new idea to people that then connects a new neuron in their brain, which further exercises their neuroplasticity, which then allows them to be able to interact with reality in a more productive and proactive way. And so even if you're not famous, but you still have like 5 people that are curious about your work and are inspired by it, you know, you're already connecting new neurons in these people's brains, and you're already serving the purpose of what an artist really is in the viewpoint of society, not in industry, with capitalism, commercialism, and selling something that looks good, you know, art basel, all that bullshit. Like, it's, to me, it's beyond that. I didn't really understand until I went under that my practice has been anti-capitalist the entire time, and I didn't know that. I think that's why there was so much pushback on my career, because people didn't like how open I was and how much I was sharing, and I didn't understand why it was such an issue. But now that I have my clarity and lucidity, I see that they're frustrated that they're capitalist artists and they don't have it in them to just be a functioning artist that connects neurons for the people. They see it in their own, whatever, their own minds, whatever they need, they're doing, whatever their reasons are for being an artist, not my business or my, this is just my perspective now that I've had time to look at things and look at others, my colleagues, and how they function within this space that we all have to work in. And the book, I think, was a really huge...
Which book?
My first book on abstract turntablism of technique, chance procedures on turntable. I wrote it in 2011. It's the first book of its kind about abstract turntablism and how to break your records and your needles and combine them to make sound pieces with the turntable. And now it's considered the book for turntablists that want to get into the experimental avant-garde side of things. Everyone gets this book, and it's available in every university all over the world. It's become this staple, which is why I became part of history at 31 years old, which I didn't know at the time when I wrote the book that that's what was going to happen.
Can you tell us, like, to contextualize the book and your practice, can you tell us about technically some of the things you do and how you present your work?
So before the surgery, it was one turntable, one RAKE double needle that was invented by Randall Sandin Jr.
Well, can you explain, like, also what is a double needle?
Yep.
Because I think people might not know.
For sure, yeah. The RAKE double needle, Randall invented it in 2001 for hip-hop turntablists. It's really more to be utilized as a live multi-tracking device. And for hip-hop turntablists that work with the spiral of the record. I don't work with the spiral, that's the difference, but I'll get into that later. And so this needle has 2 needles on one head shell. They're about half an inch apart, so they read 2 different parts of a record, a surface area of a record at the same time. And you can split them channel 1, channel 2.
But can you also, like, play them both at the same time?
Yep, you can also play them at the same time if you wanted to. I like to separate them just so I have a little bit more control over what I'm hearing. Because that density, again, the hyper density of playing things on top of itself, you know, that's one of many attributes, sonic attributes that you can provide in a space, you know. And so I don't like to overuse it, but you definitely can. And so that needle was introduced to me in 2016 by King Britt, who met Randall at some hip-hop convention in 2001, 2002. Randall gave him a needle, gave one to Jazzy Jeff as well and a few other people. Nobody knew what to do with it. They didn't know how to adapt it to the turntablism or the hip-hop turntablism practice. And then one day, King told me he was cleaning out his closet, and he saw it, and he had already met me, and was a big fan.
And at the time, you were already like deep into the...
Yeah, I was already fairly well known. He had seen a few of my works for the Wire magazine. Yeah. I made a piece for Rocks and Cello and Metal Poles, like back in like 2014. We made like a whole movie about it, and he watched that and got in touch with me and was like, I'm a big fan, your work is amazing. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I've been listening to you since I was 16 years old, because I've been a DJ since I was 16. I've literally been DJing in front of people since I was 17 years old.
Yeah.
So the turntable is really all I know in a lot of ways. But yeah, so King knew me, found this needle, and he was like, what's your address? I have something for you. I'm like, what's King Britt going to send me? And then I opened this tin can, and there's this double-headed needle. I'm like, what the hell is this thing? And at first I didn't like it because it just made the work sound too good. I didn't really have to try. And I didn't like that. I really don't like to sound good. That's not the point of the work, you know? But everything was sounding amazing. I'm like, damn it, this is too easy. I don't like it. And then over time, I really just developed a relationship with it. And now it's actually quite a challenging device to work with. And
so do you use one when you perform?
And before the surgery, I just used one double needle on one turntable. I would sit recital style. I would sit down and I would perform short sound musique, concrète, improvised sound pieces that would last for like 2.
There's some of these clips on YouTube, right?
Yeah, they're everywhere. Yeah. Yeah, they last for like 2 minutes to 20 minutes, just depending on the commission or what I'm supposed to make. But now during my sabbatical, first I was able to present my 4 turntable, 8 needles. So 4 turntables, 4 double-headed needles, which makes 8 channels at the kitchen for a residency there during the pandemic. And I was able to record an album with my friend Jordy Wheeler, who's a regular collaborator of mine. He's a multi-instrumentalist. And we went into the kitchen theater alone with one audio guy and recorded 2 days worth of really special work and released an album with it via Cafe Auto's online label Takaroku. And that came out in 2021, which was hard because I wanted to promote it, but I also was in this sabbatical, so it's difficult. So that's one of my projects that I hope now that I'm back, that I want to further publicize now that I can, so that people are more aware that the album is out, because I just wasn't able to really promote it at the time because I wasn't in that mode. But anyway, so now the setup that I'm presenting tonight is technically my new setup: 4 turntables, 8 needles, all with their own single channels. I can play them all at the same time if I wanted to. But I will start, I think, with my old recital style performance practice, just because I haven't done it in front of people in a show in such a long time.
So you're going to start with like 1 turntable, and
then I'm going to expand into a hypermemory installation presentation for you guys.
So the 4 turntables are part of the hypermemory.
Right. So I'll do like 1 or 2 old school, like my hits, just to like play them out again, and then I'll evolve into the other turntables. And
how long have you been collecting field recordings, like field, those type of
It's
records?
always been part of my practice. I just never really realized it until I was presenting more large-scale multi-channel installations in museums and galleries. And then I was realizing that the sounds that were being emitted through the speakers that I was designing, I guess you could say, were all field recordings. And so that was also a moment before my surgery where I was like, oh, right, field recording. Like, I actually use field recordings all the time. I just don't think about it. Even in my DJ mixes, you'll hear some random field recordings throughout for like house or techno, and then there'll be like a weird intro or outro with a field recording or something. So it's always been part of my practice. I just didn't really realize how much it was until I came up with this term, hypermemory installation. And so now it's definitely something. I wrote an article for Cambridge University Press that it just came out this last fall about field recording in pop music. And I wrote an article for the book about a sound artist's perspective of field recording in history. Because if you think about it, in ancient times, I mean, we could go on forever, so I'll try to keep this as short as possible, but I think about this all the time. Like the Incas or the Aztecs or the Mayans, especially the Incas, they have these really beautiful whistling vases that if you pour a little bit of water in and out, it'll make a really beautiful bird whistling sound. Some have breath. They sound like someone's taking a breath. I believe in Mexico, I think it's the Aztec, it might be the Mayans, but they have also a skull whistle. It's called the death whistle. And that was actually their artillery for their army when they were conquering other parts of Mexico as an indigenous tribe. And everyone in the army or the fighting had these skulls. And they would blow into them as they were approaching the next town that they were going to be taking over. And it would sound like people were screaming.
Wow.
And so sound and field recording prior to technology, I mean, a lot of these, like the whistles I just told you about, they were never meant to be for musical purposes. They're Foley sound or field recording because they didn't have the technology to record, to take in, but they could emit and mimic. So field recording prior to technology could be seen as these objects. And I just hope over time, the more I talk about it, the more people will realize like that we really need to have like sound engineering, audio engineering, like ancient practice. And then we can really have a conversation instead of looking at it in this white supremacist archaeological way of like, oh, spiritual object or whatever. It's like, no. Like with Machu Picchu, you get the white girls like doing yoga, on my land. I'm just like, get your yoga mat off my land. First of all, this was a place of science. This is a place of research. So
and these
objects are similar. They were objects to communicate outside of music, and in a way could be considered early forms of audio engineering practice.
Have you like used one before?
Yeah, we used to have a bunch in our house, like the bird whistles and stuff. You blow in the butt, and it goes, and it's supposed to mimic the birds of that area. But of course, I'm sure a lot of these birds are extinct now. So it's also a form of collecting, right? Because now we'll never know what those birds sound like unless we play these whistles. And so it once you start to think about these objects in this way, and then you look at the history of field recording and audio engineering, especially in a creative practice like sound installation, sound art practice, I feel like it starts to create a better bridge about how people talk about indigenous cultures within technology. It's something I definitely want to expand on more. But that all came about by writing this paper about a sound artist's perspective of field recording art history. So I start with ancient archaeological finds and move into 1600s compositional orchestra practice and then into technology. And so that it's just always been something that I've included, and I'm glad that I can now formulate a way of presenting it that other people can also utilize as a hypermemory installation.
I also wanted to talk about your sculptures because you were also in Italy for a while.
Yeah.
And can you tell us about them?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for bringing them up. Again, thinking about ancient practice, archaeological practice, I've always wanted to work with stone, with in particular white Carrara marble, because this type of stone is very much connected to a white male body ownership and presence. Like when you think of all of the statues in the Vatican, for example, those are all white Carrara marble from Marina de Carrara. That's where they mine all of this marble. And when you think about those sculptures, you think about Michelangelo. Who was he? He was a white dude, like, or any of the sculptors from his era, his time. So there's something about there's a few points. Mainly, I've been really a majority of my practice throughout my career has been inspired by this idea that I always fall into and can think about for hours. What kind of sound art piece can you create that could survive over 1,000 years? That means you can't you can't work with electricity because we don't know how long electricity will be able to survive over time. And so I was just trying to think, like, how do you do that? Like, how can one create a sonic piece that lasts forever? And technically, the ancient civilizations have already done this, But I wanted to challenge myself as a modern person. So that was the premise of
Okay.
being interested in the marble sculptures. And then I chose white Carrara marble because of its, not just its political history, but also because through time it has proven to be able to survive, because that's what we find in all the history museums. And, they have these white Carrara marble sculptures that have survived thousands of years. So it has that potential to survive.
But you're using them as a sonic piece.
Well, I'm using them as a representation of sound. So you can't actually play them. I mean, you could play one of them with the air valve, air pressure valve that's like putting air. I did a little video about it. It's really fun.
Because you created like grooves at some point.
Yeah. So all of these sculptures for this series that I was working on in my studio in Tuscany, in Marina de Carrara, where they mine the white marble. It's so crazy when you go there in my studio, like it's outside and you look up and it's the Carrara white marble mountains where they have been digging since before the Roman times. And so it looks white, but it's not snow. It's the marble. And then there's white clouds everywhere, but there's no weather. It's all the dust from all the quarries mining the white marble, because it's in such demand right now for like housing and things like that, for restrooms and stuff. And they're actually, for the first time in history, they're realizing that they're running out, like it's starting to run out.
Oh, wow.
So, and it's the first time in history because so many more housing developments around the world are requiring this material much more than ever before. So just wanted to say that, so that's recorded somewhere. And so for this series of sculptures, I wanted to focus on the next phase of my Topography of Sound series. That was a watercolor series, and I wanted to evolve it into a white Carrara marble series. And so it's all based on microscopic images of vinyl records and needles. I'm starting with the vinyl records first, and I'm using stock photos from universities, open source microscopic photos, because I can't actually get access to a camera. I've tried like with 15 different universities trying to get access to but it's science engineering department. They don't want to give me. I'm not famous enough. But anyway, so I decided to take these images and adapt them to white marble. But really, right now they're about 10 inches by 10 inches, 2 feet by 2 feet, 1 foot by 1 foot. They're not so big. They're really heavy. But what I would really like to do is they're actually prototypes where I want to make actual life-size microscopic vinyl groove sculptures that people can walk in, and then they become like the needle. And it becomes inclusive because then blind people can feel the sound waves and they can finally understand what a sound wave on a record will feel like. And then deaf people can see the representation and understand that it's coming from a sound source. It's just not emitting sound. Because I'm really interested in conceptual sound art. Just because it's sound doesn't mean it has to always be emission. Sonic emission is performance practice. It's music. It's other things. Like, what about the other side of sound, which is absorption or representation, which was the challenge of my Topography of Sound watercolor series. I was proposing that a watercolor series could still be considered a sound installation because all the imagery is derived from sonic materials or materials that create sound. And a lot of people got kind of annoyed with it. But that's sort of my interest. Is I'm always just trying to look at it and twist it a little bit more and just be like, what about if I did that? And then I run away and I hide and I look and see what people are doing. And then I learn from that. And then it advises the next piece and the next piece. But yeah, that's what those sculptures are for. And I think that'll be the next 10 years of my practice.
So now that you're back to performing, I also wanted to ask, is there anything special that you're doing this year that you're looking forward to, or what's happening after this?
So much. I think the biggest thing this year that I'm so excited to be able to tour and play with Jordy again, tour and play with Sandy Ewan. But I'm really excited about this historical trio that I'm going to be joining forces with. Mariam Razé, Victoria Shen, who invented the needle nails, and myself. Mariam is an amazing turntablist in her own right. She also uses 4. So there's going to be a lot of turntables on the stage. I feel so bad for the cities that have to acquire so many turntables, but we're in the house.
Where are you guys performing?
We'll be artist in residence at Counterflows Festival in Glasgow in the beginning of April. Then we'll go to the Rewire Festival in The Hague The following week, we'll do some lectures, workshops. We'll do Malouse later in the fall or in the summer. We're slowly starting to book things now, but I'm so excited about the trio because it's historical. Like it's never been done before.
So how many turntables will there be on stage?
Well, Victoria builds her own, so she'll have one, and then Mariam has 4, and I might have 4. I might minimize mine a little. I don't know. I want to go there and see first and see because we have 4 days to create a piece, a trio piece.
Where do they live?
Victoria is out in Cali, and Mariam is in Newcastle in the UK. So it's also going to just be great to sit together and as sisters that, you know, we work with this object that is it's older than we are, you know, but we all have such different approaches to it that have been historical to sound art history in their own ways. You know, like Victoria's needle nails got stolen by Beyonce. You know, like everyone in this trio has done something remarkable. And then to have an indigenous descent, Peruvian, Inca, Asian descent, and Iranian British as a trio touring the world, making a bunch of noise and breaking a bunch of records, I just think it would have never been possible in the 70s.
Yeah.
We would have never even made it out of the house.
I can't wait to hear that.
Yeah, it's gonna be
really
wild.
exciting.
And a lot of other amazing collaborations that are coming up in 2024, 25 that I can't really talk about right now, but it's very exciting. And I can't wait until things can finally go public and I can finally tell people about it. But just know that when it happens, it'll be really exciting. And I'll finally be relieved that I can tell people. So many secrets, you know.
Maria, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for your support, your love, and just bringing me here. I feel really cared for, and I'm so grateful to know you. And I'm so proud of you. You're such an amazing artist. I can't wait to get you into the installation world. We're going to make you make some art with us. I think it'll be really special. But thank you.
All right. Thank you. And now we're going to hear a short clip from the performance.
Hello. Hello.
How are you? How are you? How are you? Hello. Hello. Fine. Fine. Thank you. How are you? Pretty bird. Pretty bird. Oh, pretty bird. Give me a kiss. A kiss. Give. Kiss. Give me a kiss. Hi. Hi. baby, baby. Hi, baby. I love. I feel you. I love you. You. I love. I feel you. I love you. Give me a kiss. Give me a kiss. I love you. I love you. I love you.
Virginia to Louisiana, one of the commonest tree frogs is the cricket frog, Acarus grillis. It resembles a small true frog more than other tree frogs, having smaller discs on its toes. Its sharp, clear calls can be heard in the background of most of these recordings made in the southern states.